Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Football Upside. I am Justin. Kyle points at himself. Boom. Thanks for dropping by our Fantasy Football podcast and YouTube channel. We appreciate it. Week 4 is already here, and we're so happy that football is back and pumped that we can help you win that
championship.
There it is. Today we're hitting you with our starts of the week, streamers of the week, and fades of the week. Definitely check out our start-sit episodes from the last couple days in the link above. And Kyle's going to throw it in the description below as well.
Yep.
Kyle, what you got for me?
Make sure you click that like button as well as drop a comment, guys. Let us know what your start-sit questions are. We got one day to get them in here, and hopefully we can get to it before the games start. Hopefully none of you have been affected by the postponement that has occurred of the Steelers and Tennessee game. Yep. All right, so double check the waiver wire like always. Make sure you do that. Get over there. We've seen a few things hit our waiver wire in our league that we have together that look like interesting stuff. So let's dive in headfirst into the shallow end. Today we're talking about starts of the week, fades, and streamers. So Justin, let's talk about QBs. What do you have as a start of the week QB?
I'm going to go ahead and have Aaron Rodgers versus the Falcons. There was some news that came out here recently that Allen Lazard is out indefinitely, core muscle injury. But it sounds like Devonta Adams is on track to play. And they're also playing against the Atlanta Falcons. So the one thing I'm hoping for is the Atlanta can kind of keep up with them, because otherwise it kind of could get game stripped out. But, dude, Aaron Rodgers is on a comeback tour, and they're still slinging the rock, man. So I'm still liking him as a start of the week.
Yeah.
Who do you have as your QB?
I think it's a pretty good one. I'm going with Russell Wilson at Miami here. This should be a barn burner in my opinion, at least as far as Seattle is concerned. Maybe Miami hangs in there. I think that they probably can hang in there. The secondary for Seattle is not the greatest. So I'm kind of relying on that banged up secondary, as well as banged up backfield that they're dealing with in Seattle. So it kind of leans towards the passing game very, very heavily, in my opinion. So I think that Russell Wilson's in for a good game here.
He's like averaging 5 passing touchdowns a game. So
something around there. He's on pace for 70, I think is what it is.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's ridiculous right now.
Did I break it?
All right, so let's move on to running back. Who's your running back start of the week?
Alvin Cook versus the Houston Texans, man. The Texans can be ran on this year for sure. And Cook just had a career day last week, and I think they're just going to keep it going. Yeah. Maybe that means this offense is going to get a little better. Maybe Kirk Cousins can repeat what he was doing with Justin Jefferson to both Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. That'd be awesome. Maybe a little me being biased, but I think Dalvin Cook is really in line for a great, great game again.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm heading to Detroit and taking the only viable fantasy option in that game, and that's Alvin Kamara. Not even Detroit, right?
So he was going to the city of Detroit.
Going to Detroit, not the Lions, but the city, because that's where Alvin Kamara is going to destroy. It's quite a shocker, right? This could be the performance that finally gets Matt Patricia fired. It is entirely possible, because if this defense gets torched by Alvin Kamara and no one else, because literally all you have to do is focus in on Alvin Kamara, then what's he there for, right? All right, so let's move on here to wide receiver.
Patricia going to come out. I was like, I didn't know they were going to feature
the number one running back in the league presently. I didn't know they were going to do that. I mean, come on. Anticipate that. All right, what do you have for a wide receiver?
This is a wide receiver I keep choosing, and he's still putting up really good games. And it's Amari Cooper. This time he's going against the Cleveland Browns. He's third in the league with targets.
He's so inconsistent. What are you talking about? He's so inconsistent, right?
He's getting the targets, man. That Mike McCarthy offense, you said they like to feature. I mean, hell, they're so good that they're able to have 3 viable wide receivers, but Amari Cooper is the number one. It's just we're still waiting for those touchdowns, and those are going to come. And this is a favorable matchup versus the Browns because, it's the Browns.
Yep.
Who do you have for your
I'm going to go back.
start?
I'm going to go back to that Seattle and Miami game, and I'm going to pick up Devonta Parker here. I think that this is the get right game for him. He's been kind of he's been solid. He's not been great by any means. This hasn't been what he was doing last year, which was phenomenal. But this is the game that I think it's going to happen. Seattle, I pulled up some stats here. Seattle is allowing nearly 50% more fantasy points to the wide receiver position than the second worst fantasy pass defense, right? They've allowed 5 top 10 performances to the wide receiver position in 3 games so far. So fire up your pass catchers in Miami and just sit back and go, wow, they're the new Arizona against the tight end.
Right.
They kind of are. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Man,
What do you have for me?
It's just nuts how the mighty have fallen when it comes to the secondary for Seattle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What do you have for me at tight end here on starts of the week?
I have Mark Andrews versus the Washington football team. Talk about a rough game for the Ravens against the Chiefs last week. And you know what? I think Washington is going to get hit pretty hard because I think the Ravens are going to come out pretty pissed.
Yeah.
And we're waiting for Mark Andrews to kind of wake up and show up this year. He just hasn't been there yet. And I think this is a good bounce back game for that to happen. And once again, I just think they're going to play pissed off. I think Lamar Jackson's going to be pissed off. And I think Mark Andrews is going to maybe catch a couple tutties.
Yeah.
Would be nice.
Yeah. All right.
Who do you have for your tight end?
Back to Detroit, and the only other viable fantasy option out there is TJ Hawkinson, honestly. I think that this is a team that is not able to cover the tight end position if there are any other pass catchers on the field. And we know that Detroit has some pretty solid pass catchers. Kenny Golladay came back, and he's been doing wonderfully coming back, right? He's right back in the fold. Marvin Jones is going to do a little bit better. He's drawing attention. And I think that leaves all the underneath, the intermediate routes, the crossing routes by the tight ends, the seam, out to the boundary, that sort of stuff. And that's Hawkinson all day long. I mean, New Orleans got burnt by Jace Sternberger. They got burnt by who was it? Who's the other tight end that the Packers have? The old guy, my age.
Mercedes Lewis.
Yeah. He got burned by those guys. This is Tonyan. Yeah, really old, man. It's really old, like a little bit of gray in there. Robert Tonyan. This is a defense that can be beaten by the tight end, and I think that's going to happen this week. All right, let's move along here to our streamers of the week. These are guys that you can pick up on the waiver wire who can fill in a spot of need for you. And now that the Titans and the Steelers are on bye, you might be in a bit of a pinch. And these are guys that might be able to help you here. What do you have for me as a QB?
So this is a guy that he may not have been available last week as a streamer, but he might have been dropped in some leads, and that's Garner Minshew. He definitely had a little bit of a dud last week, but he's going against the Bengals this time, and I'm looking for a bounce-back game for sure. They're going to throw it a lot because the Bengals throw a lot and the Giants throw a lot, so I just think that's a recipe for success when it comes to streaming a nice quarterback of Garner Minshew. Who do you have as your streamer?
So this one's going to fight you a little bit later.
It is.
In a minute. It's Fitzpatrick in Seattle. Look, I would only start him if you think that your QB is not going to play. I specifically had made these notes before this game that Titans and Steelers game got postponed. I was saying that, hey, this is a start that you should do if you've got a COVID issue or you've got Wentz. And so you fire up Fitzpatrick, and I think that you're going to get some points there. They're giving up a lot of points through the air. They're not giving them up on the ground as much. So this is where they're going to score their points, is through his arm and into Devonta Parker's gut, right?
Yeah.
All right. Who do you have for a tight end streamer that you can pick up?
All right, this is a tight end streamer that I don't think he's going to be available much longer, and that's Mo Alley-Cox for the Indianapolis Colts. Going against the Chicago Bears, yes, they're still a pretty good defense, but I think Mo Alley-Cox is becoming the favorite of Phillip Rivers. T.Y. Hilton is still there. We're still trying to wait for T.Y. Hilton to be the T.Y. Hilton of old. And the Colts are down some more wide receivers, too. Paris Campbell is out. Michael Pittman Jr. is out. They're going to need someone to step up. And, man, Mo Alley-Cox has stepped up in the absence of Jack Doyle and Trey Burton. So I think the momentum is going to keep going for Mo Alley-Cox.
Yeah.
Who do you
think?
All right.
I'm going to suggest Dalton Schultz with Dallas versus Cleveland here. It's a great matchup for Schultz, and it's a pass-happy team. I would caution that you may or may not be able to rely on having an opportunity for a touchdown, but I would say he's going to go for 40 yards and have a chance for a touchdown here. I think that this is a guy who's going to get a couple targets, 3-4 targets for you, maybe a little bit more. He might pop for you a little bit, but this is just a fill-in spot. This is something to ensure that you get points. This isn't necessarily going to win for you. There's not a whole lot of tight ends on the stream positions right now that have good matchups this week. All right, so defense, here you go. We got to fight now.
Well, it's kind of similar to what you just said with tight end streamers. There wasn't as many defensive streamers that were available that would be available in most leagues, kind of thing. Yeah. So I am kind of prefacing that, of course, to make myself look a little better. I need all the help I can get here. So I'm going Seattle Seahawks. First, Miami Dolphins. We keep talking about it. But I'm just counting on, they're going to throw it a lot. Fitzmagic's going to throw it a lot. Guess what else he does? He throws picks every once in a while.
He's willing to take the risk.
He is, no risk it, no biscuit, and that's in Miami now, I guess.
Yeah.
But they're going to throw a couple picks, and any of those could come back for a touchdown. So I'm kind of looking for that. Seattle, I think they Dallas put up like 34 points against them last week, and they still scored 9 fantasy points. So, they're still able to grab a couple points here or there.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Cincinnati versus Jacksonville. There's a good chance for turnovers here across the board with Jacksonville. And then neither of these teams is really operating 100% on offense. And so they're kind of behind their, like Cincinnati's got a bad offensive line and at both run blocking and pass blocking. And then Jacksonville, they're putting up points to some extent, but they're not blowing anybody away. They're not like they were last year where Minshew is just huck it and chuck it, right? And
I like how we flip this. So I have a QB streamer of Gardner Minshew.
Yep.
I like how we flip.
Yeah. No, but so the thing about it is it's a low scoring game in this instance is what I'm guessing is going to happen. So you're looking for a baseline out of that defense. You're not going to pick up a defense that's going to win your game. You're going to pick up one that could lose your game for you. But if you get something that's going to provide a baseline of points, that's what you're trying to do in a streamer situation, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's why I don't necessarily suggest streaming positions season long unless you absolutely had to. Right. All right, so let's move on to our fades of the week. What QB are you fading this week?
I'm fading Cam Newton against the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, we already kind of mentioned it. You saw what the Chiefs did against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Yeah. They held Lamar Jackson to 14 fantasy points last week. And, Cam doesn't run as much as Lamar did, but he's still kind of a similar type quarterback. And I think the Chiefs have figured something out, and I think they're just going to roll that right into Cam Newtown with less weapons, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, not only less weapons, I think that Newton's actually less accurate than Lamar Jackson. I think that what makes Jackson scary is not just the ability to run and get out and evade people, but also the fact that he can legitimately throw the ball down the field accurately.
Yeah.
Just ask Marquise Brown, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
At QB, I'm fading this week Kyler Murray at Carolina. I think this is a tough matchup.
Like that one.
No. I think this is a tough matchup at QB, and he might not be with Nuck. Hopkins might be out, man. Future Hall of Famer DeAndre Hopkins. If you're missing that guy, what can you plan on, right? Then you've got Christian Kirk, who just hasn't been good, and so then you're talking about Andy Isabella. I think was it Keyshawn Johnson?
Yeah.
This is not going to necessarily be a team that can take down a defense that is handling the QB position fairly well.
Maybe Dan Arnold. Maybe there could be a Dan Arnold sighting position.
Yeah, maybe. All right, what do you have for me at running back? Who are you fading?
I'm fading Miles Sanders against the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah, there's been
some call. That's a real tough call.
Well, okay. It kind of is a little bit just because, man, the 49ers, man, they're hurt. They are all up and down that defensive line. But, hey, guess what? They are still good against the run.
Yeah.
And we're still kind of waiting for Miles Sanders to really, really pop. But I just don't think it's going to happen right now because they can really just concentrate on the run because there is nothing on the outside.
I mean, Greg Ward's not going to burn him?
Most likely not.
A slower wide receiver who is like 5'8".
Did you hear the news on Thursday that there was only one wide receiver that practiced, and that was Greg Ward?
Yeah.
I
think you texted it to me saying there was only one, and I texted back Greg Ward question mark, and
Yeah.
you're like, yep,
Yep.
yep, the only
Who do
man
you,
standing.
who do you have as
Too
your
short.
running back
All the
fade?
injuries went right over top of his head and hit all the other guys. That's what it is. All right, at running back, I have David Montgomery versus Indianapolis. This is not the week that he's going to get things going, guys. Tariq Cohen's gone. I understand that, but this offense is just not going to feature Montgomery if they want to have a chance to win this game. That's not how you beat Indianapolis. And here's the thing: like, Nagy is not going to try that. He's not going to try to win this game just by running it.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is he's smarter than everyone else, or at least that's his opinion, right? So, I think
zero sarcasm there. Zero.
Not at all.
None.
I don't use sarcasm. That's for the weak. Yeah. But I just think this offense is fool's gold. I really do. And I think that Foles came in and people have this opinion that, oh, he's great. It's really not hard to look good when you're being compared to Mitch Trubisky.
Right.
I would possibly look good compared to Mitch Trubisky. Possibly. I'm not saying I would. But I mean, because the guy's fast. He's pretty darn fast. But Foles threw nearly 4 interceptions. Like, they all went through the defender's hands. And he did that in a lot less time than Trubisky did. And so I think that defense already understands we don't have to be too worried about Nick Foles. Frank Reich coached him. He knows who he's dealing with. So I think they're going to key on Montgomery.
You ready for a dad joke?
Cohen, I guess. Why?
You said fool's gold. Why not Foles?
Oh,
gold?
Jesus. Yep.
There it is.
There it
that
is.
Keeps the people coming.
Wait. Here we go. Wait, no, I know what that joke was. It was
the worst.
we got the drop in.
We got
That's
it.
what I did. That's why I did it. We
find a way. Okay. We did it for them, for the fans.
For the fans.
For the fans.
Yeah.
All right. So wide receiver fade of the week. What do you got?
Hey, who's still watching? We got DJ Moore versus the Cardinals, and Cardinals are actually number 2 against wide receivers right now. I know it's only 3 weeks in, but they're still only they still are number 2 against wide receivers. So, and he most likely will get Patrick Peterson as a shadow all day. And DJ Moore and Teddy Bridgewater, they haven't really feel like they figured each other out yet. It hasn't come together yet. There's a lot of hype coming into this season for DJ Moore.
I just feel like every time that I see somebody on Twitter who's like, here's this dude's breakout game, I look at him like, what? No, this is not DJ Moore's breakout game. This is not that moment, guys. This is not when he gets off the schneid and figures it out and you've got an ace in the hole for the rest of the season. This isn't that week. This just isn't that week.
No.
All right. I'm going to go with Stephon Diggs at Las Vegas. It's a very tough matchup, actually. And Las Vegas is going to want to control this game by running the ball. And so I think that Diggs might find himself in a situation where I'm kind of calling it a bad game script, except that wide receivers don't get game scripted out usually until there's like a blowout, right? And I'm not anticipating a blowout by any means. But what I'm saying is that this is a bad game script for him because the other side, I think, will be able to run the ball very convincingly, very effectively, and kill the clock. This is going to be one of those games where the first quarter is going to end, and if Las Vegas had the ball at all during that time, they're going to have it like 12 minutes out of it.
Right.
So I think this is not the matchup for Diggs. All right, tight end, what do you have on the fades?
Tyler Higbee versus New York Giants, and the Giants are actually somewhat decent against the tight ends, and Higbee is averaging less than 4 targets a game. He's just getting very lucky in that touchdown department. I mean, I think he's got like 3 already this season, and that's why it's kind of looking like a Jared Cook type situation where it's very few targets.
40 with 9.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's going to get, he may still catch a lot of touchdowns here or there, but it's going to be really hard to count on any kind of yards and catches from good old Higbee.
Yep. All right, I'm going to go with Zach Ertz at San Francisco. This is, again, not a good matchup for tight ends so far this season. We could be wrong here because there are a lot of injuries here. But there are hardly any pass catchers left, as we just were talking about in Philadelphia. And as a result, they can key on the few that are there, but so can Wentz, but then he's Wentz. And so probably the targets aren't going to be accurate. And this is one of those games that scares me for Zach Ertz. If I have him, I'm worried about him coming out healthy.
Yeah.
Because this is one of those games where he could get hung out to dry by Wentz on accident. So
accident?
Yeah. Well, no, he wouldn't do it on purpose, I don't think.
He wouldn't do it on purpose. It's just like the way Wentz has been playing, it's just going to come naturally now.
I guess so. I mean, here's the question. Is Carson Wentz really just Mitch Trubisky? I mean, isn't he arguably the same thing, kind of? He made it to a Super Bowl, but only because of team, scheme, and a different QB.
Right.
He's never won a playoff game, right? Did they win last year? I don't know. I don't think they won their playoff game last year, did they?
I think they did.
So that's the only time he's ever played in a playoff game. Maybe, yeah. That's it. I don't know.
Maybe.
All right. Well, let's move on here. We're going to toss in our survivor picks for the week, guys. And if you have got either Tennessee or Pittsburgh in your survivor pool, pull them out. They will not count this week, and a lot of pools are going to mark them as a mistake, as a wrong pick. So do not select them. Yeah, so you better make sure that you don't have that in there. All right, so Justin, who are you taking in survivor pools?
I am looking at the LA Rams going into the Giants. I already kind of mentioned them, but boy, the Giants look like a dumpster fire. And based off the numbers, there's an 85% chance of the Rams pulling this one out.
Yeah,
and you may not gain too much ground because it's a very popular pick, but I'm kind of going more to the conservative route. It seems like, and it's 50% picked, so not going to gain much ground. But you're also playing it safe, especially this early on in the season. Maybe we can take some risks a little bit later on. What do you got?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people took, I think it was like 45% of people in week one picked Indianapolis, and Indianapolis lost. So the strategy should be, and if you're looking at expected value, that you have to incorporate, and this is the difference of opinion where it's like, okay, are you playing it safe? Or are you going to play it a little bit less safe, but with higher expected value, a return on your investment? And so I'm going with the Ravens because they have an 84% chance of winning based on the odds spread historically there. And they are only 19% picked as opposed to the 50% that the Rams are presenting, which leaves you with about a 1.13 expected value. The over-under is 45.5, so that's a 13-point with a 13-point spread, which gives Washington about 16.5 points expected. So with an offense that's doing that, as well as the likely benching of Dwayne Haskins coming this week, I think that the Ravens are a smash pick. And look, if the Rams lose and you took the Ravens, you just knocked out about 50% of the people who are left in this thing. So that's the logic behind expected value there.
And this is survivor picks and pick'em picks. It's really hard this year just based off. There is no home field advantage. Everybody. There's just not.
Yeah.
So I've definitely have had issues. You can't just look at going home team this week. That's just not a thing.
Well, really the odds usually, the point spread usually allots 3 to 3.5 points favored to the home team. Like that's just the way it goes right off.
Always built in. Yeah.
It's always built in. And they're still doing that, apparently. That's actually still factored in. And so when you're looking at point spread right now, you should be discounting that, especially teams that have hard count QBs. So Russell Wilson,
Aaron Rodgers.
I think Matt Ryan does it a little bit. Just anybody who can go on a silent count. If they're incorporating a silent count while they're on the road, and they're doing it as a hard count is what they're really doing, then you better watch out. That's a trap game coming. That was the same thing with what happened with New Orleans. New Orleans was favored by 3.5 points. I looked at that and I said, why? Why are they favored by 3.5? That doesn't make sense. So that's what you got to look at right now, guys. And so with survivor picks, you got to factor that in right now. All right, so that's going to be it for us this week, actually. Make sure you get all of your start-sit questions to us if you have any specific ones. We had one, actually, I think the other day that was a really, really interesting one. I actually liked it. Let me see if I can pull it up here. We can toss in a little extra here, a little bit of overtime here.
It was Kenyan Drake versus Austin Eckler, wasn't it, Kyle?
Yeah, it was. And when I looked at it at first, my initial reaction was going to be Eckler. And I actually came down on the side of Drake. I think that Drake's matchup is actually just better for him. And Eckler, there's a misleading split coming, I think, in carries now. There. So I think that you have to actually downgrade Eckler this week and upgrade Drake. I don't think either of them is more than an RB2, though.
Okay.
So, you're really looking at a second-tier player on your roster. All right. That's going to be it for us. I will put on the screen for you our matchup episodes from Thursday and Friday so that you have those. Like I said before, drop a comment asking who you should start, who you should sit, and make sure you hit that subscribe button for us, guys. We're going to be here all season, and you can click that bell. And thanks for being a fan of The Upside. We'll see you next time. Bye.
See you guys.